Pastors are often seen as custodians of spiritual values and the vessels by which the gospel of Jesus Christ is spread across the world. But sometimes, these religious gatekeepers tend to stray away from the teachings of the Bible and become the very thing they preach against. From a pastor who was caught in bed with his parishioner to a bishop who paid $200,000 to silence his SA victim, these are the 7 most controversial preachers in America. Prophetess Juanita Bynum. Prophetess Juanita Bynum is an author, singer, and one of the most prominent female televangelists in America. Her teachings have given so many people a sense of hope, drawing them away from the shackles of sin and launching them into a life of righteousness. However, the incidents that have occurred in her own life suggest that this self-proclaimed prophetess could do with her own teachings as well. Although her relationship status is currently unknown, Pastor Juanita has been married twice. Her first marriage lasted only a few years, and she would later admit that she agreed to the union because of sex and what the man looked like. In June 2002, Prophetess Juanita entered her second marriage, this time with Bishop Thomas Weeks. The union ended 6 years later on the grounds that the bishop assaulted Juanita in a parking lot. Fast forward to 2012, the vibrant prophetess confirmed she did drugs and lived a promiscuous life, including sleeping with women in the past. 1 year later, she was arrested for refusing to show up at a court hearing regarding a $140,000 refund she was supposed to make to ALW Entertainment. Prophetess Juanita claimed the money had been paid in full and her arrest was due to miscommunication. She was later released by the authorities, but shortly after, reports emerged that she was already in the process of declaring bankruptcy after incurring debts of $5 million.
Creflo Dollar.
Creflo Dollar is the senior pastor at Atlanta-based World Changers Church International, and as his name suggests, he is absolutely obsessed with America's official currency. Dollar's ministry is based on the gospel of prosperity. So, it is perhaps not surprising that his living standard is modeled to mirror the lifestyle of the affluent. His 17,000-square-foot mansion in Atlanta features luxury amenities that are befitting for royalty. In addition, he owns a long fleet of luxury cars, including a Rolls-Royce, which was reportedly gifted to him by the church. However, in March 2015, he made an outrageous request that shocked many in Christendom. In a short video posted to his church's website, the controversial preacher told his followers to support his evangelical work by donating $300, or more so, he could buy the $65 million Gulfstream G650 jet. The irony of this request is that Pastor Dollar actually had a jet that was gifted to him by the church, but the airplane was no longer functional after a series of accidents. After much criticism, Dollar took down the video in which he solicited for help. However, the donation links remained active, and the preacher vehemently defended his actions. "If I want to believe God for a $65 million plane, you cannot stop me. You can't stop me from dreaming. I'm going to dream until Jesus comes." While Dollar's antics have been widely criticized, they are not exactly surprising, considering that he regards Kenneth Copeland as his mentor. Before we reveal who Kenneth Copeland is and why he is on this list, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our Christian Celebrities channel. Kenneth Copeland. Like his mentee, Kenneth Copeland is fascinated by money, jets, expensive mansions, and flashy cars. In fact, his purchases over the years show that his obsessions for luxury material things are much worse than those of Creflo Dollar. Apart from living in a $7 million tax-free mansion, Copeland's ministry, the Eagle Mountain International Church, owns 9 airplanes and a private airport through his ministry. One of those airplanes was purchased from Tyler Perry. When asked how much he paid the Hollywood star for the jet, Copeland was left stuttering.
I paid. You kind of caught me off guard here, okay?
In 2015, the Texas-based preacher said traveling on commercial flights is dangerous, even describing it as flying in a long tube with a bunch of demons. Speaking further, Copeland said the constant requests for prayer he got while flying public airlines made his spirit agitated. In addition, the prosperity gospel preacher argues that without his private jets, he would be unable to execute 65% of his tasks. While this excuse sounds tenable, a lot of people believe that the Copeland's lavish lifestyle does not conform with the values of his faith. Bishop Eddie Long. Bishop Eddie Long was a senior pastor at the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. He is credited for growing the congregation from 300 parishioners to 25,000 members. Like some of the other pastors on this list, Eddie preached the prosperity gospel and was well rewarded for it. He lived in a $1.4 million house, drove a $350,000 Bentley, and traveled for missionary assignments in private jets. But in 2010, the American religious community was stunned when 4 men accused Pastor Eddie of luring them to have sexual relationships with him in exchange for clothes, cars, and luxury trips. These allegations were almost unbelievable because Eddie was renowned as a strong critic of gay rights and same-sex marriages. Expectedly, the preacher denied the allegations and looked like he was ready to follow up the case in court. But out of nowhere, he reached an undisclosed financial settlement with his accusers in 2011, prohibiting him from discussing the issue publicly. Germaine Simmons. February 2017 was a very difficult month for Benjamin Stevens. Mr. Benjamin was called by teachers from his child's school because his 6-year-old son was critically ill and his wife, Clanisha Stevens, wasn't taking her calls. The 38-year-old immediately rushed to the school, retrieved his son, and headed straight for his home, where he received the shock of his life. His wife, who was presumably too busy to take calls from their child's school, was having sex with Germaine Simmons, the spiritual head at Jacob Chapel Baptist Church. Understandably, Benjamin lost his cool and threatened to gun down Bishop Simmons. This prompted the preacher to flee the scene naked and without his car keys. Surprisingly, a few days after the incident, Simmons was back on the pulpit asking members to forgive him. "You cannot defend sin. This isn't about anybody else but me," Simmons told the congregation. "What I am asking of our members, and it's something I may or may not get, and that is your prayers. I'm asking for your forgiveness." Peter Popof. In his heyday, Peter Popof was one of America's most renowned evangelists and prosperity gospel preachers. He performed miracles and sold miracle spring water, with notes urging members to support his ministry by sowing the largest seeds and writing the biggest checks. He made millions of dollars from this scheme. But unknown to his congregation, his miracles were faux, and he'd ultimately run out of luck in 1986. Having watched Popof's suspicious healing scheme go unchallenged for many years, a team of freelance debunkers, led by magician James Randi, stormed one of his revivals with a radio scanner. And sure enough, they discovered that Popof was wearing a hearing aid, which allowed his wife, Elizabeth, to communicate in real time. Apparently, the preacher had informants among the crowd who sniffed around to find the names of attendants and their illnesses. Once they got these details, they passed them on to Liz, who, in turn, passed them on to her husband over the radio. Armed with this information, Popof would then call out individuals, stating their illness and, in some cases, their address.
Jody Dean. Jody Dean.
Is it Jody? Jody? Dean? Jody Dean?
No, she should be right there on your right side.
Here it comes.
Okay, she lives at 4267 Masterson.
4267 Masterson. I can see the angels of God all around your house.
Randy took his findings to The Tonight Show, where Popof's scam was exposed. After this wild episode, the preacher mysteriously filed for bankruptcy in 1987, only to resurface in the mid-2000s with the same scheme. But this time on a bigger scale. As of 2005, Popof's new ministry generated a staggering $23 million. And from that largesse, he paid himself and his family $1.2 million. When a journalist from Inside Edition confronted him about swindling innocent people of their money, Peter Popof declined to respond.
Matt Mahar with Inside Edition. Could I ask you a few questions about your ministry? Hey, you're squeezing me.
Sorry.
How can you justify taking all of this money from people that are desperate? Can you just answer us one question?
Can you just move away, please?
Would you talk to us later, please?
No.
Jim Bakker. Together with his wife Tammy Faye, Jim Bakker built one of the most successful prosperity gospel empires of the 1980s. Through their Praise the Lord TV show, they got generous donations from followers, which ultimately funded their opulent lifestyle. Aside from monetary donations, Bakker's followers donated deeds and even diamond rings. But like Oliver Twist, this vibrant evangelist wasn't satisfied. So, sometime in the mid-80s, he set out to build a 500-room hotel and water park complex called the Heritage USA. Upon the completion of this project, Bakker offered his followers a $1,000 lifetime partnership deal that included an annual 3-day stay at this grand hotel. But ultimately, this would prove to be the beginning of the end of his empire. He sold over 66,000 lifetime partnerships, which obviously exceeded the capacity of the hotel. Jim Bakker and his wife couldn't care less, though. By 1987, they had turned in over $100 million in revenue. However, their booming empire was rocked by a report which revealed that Bakker was sexually involved with church secretary Jessica Hahn in 1980. Jessica claimed that the sex was against her wish, and Bakker's ministry paid $200,000 to keep her silent. Following this scandal, Bakker resigned his position, claiming he needed to spend more time with his family. But not long after, he was back in the news as the government opened an inquiry into the finances of the ministry. On October 5, 1989, Bakker was found guilty on all 24 counts and consequently sentenced to 45 years and ordered to pay a $500,000 fine. The sentence was eventually reduced to 8 years, and Bakker became a free man in 1994. What do you make of these controversial preachers? Let us know in the comment below. Thanks for watching this video to the end. If you enjoyed it, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to enjoy more content like this.